I wrote a little piece about how vulnerable a shopkeeper is to people coming in the shop, looking all around and leaving without saying anything. And I can't remember why I wrote it. It was just for fun. And somebody said, I want the rest. As I thought about it, I realized I never had a book called Shopkeeping. It's your shop. And it's not that it's your shop, it's that it's public in a particular sense of being a shop. It doesn't get funds from the government. It doesn't have a school loan that is covering its if it gets a small business administration loan, it has to pay it back, or the same cruel people in the world come to get their money. It runs through a bank. It's public. A shop is the most interesting version of public because it's meant to represent the city. It's meant to represent the graciousness of humans, the intelligence of what it offers, the intelligence of what it shows, the intelligence of how it shows. There's all these crazy tasks, really.
You have decided finally to write a book on shopkeeping. Why did you write this book, and why now?
Oh, well, I wish I could say you do. I did it now because it was a good time to do it. I don't. That's not my course. Not because I don't have some place where I could be cunning, but I simply don't actually have the time to try to figure out what the cunning would be. This happened to exist for the same reason that each of the books came alive, which is that I would write some little piece about making lunch at the shop. And somebody would say, well, there must be more to this story. And I said, oh, there's a ton to it. And so I wrote some more, and I took it to a wonderful publisher in New York, and Abrams, and they fiddled around a little bit and said, well, that's a good one. And we brought it out, and they sent me a contract to do a book called Lunch at the Shop, which was, very exciting to me. And and then I realized who was going to shoot the photographs, and I hadn't thought that through. So I asked a friend, I said, well, would you shoot the photographs? And they were great. They said, not in a million years. They said that all you could do is fail at that. They said, you need someone who really can shoot food. And I had seen the Canal House girls in New Jersey, their books. Somebody had brought them to me, and they had just won a James Beard Award for their lovely red cookbook. And so I sent them an email asking if they would consider doing it, but I couldn't send it. I was like a high school junior afraid to ask the girl who was a month older if she'd go to the dance with him, and I couldn't send it. And finally my wife said, I don't want to throw you off, but you're not a high school junior. You are a grown-up. Just send the email. And so I sent it, and they answered right back and said, we'll do it. And so we came out with that book. Then we came out with, then I wrote a piece for a magazine here about asparagus. Asparagus had just come, and I wrote this piece trying to make the point that asparagus, contrary to what every single person in America believes, is only here for a month and a half. Everybody believes it's here in the fall, there's a summer asparagus. It's not true. It's here for a month and a half. And my point was that to cook with some optimism, you should cook what's available, and that's what that book was trying to be about. I will say, for the record and on the record, you must never use the word asparagus in any title, no matter what you do, no matter how you intend to do it. You must never use it. You could sooner use the word urine, but do not use the word asparagus in a title, because it made that book hesitate. And it's a wonderful book, and it's always half broken my heart. The shopkeeping came because I wrote a little piece about how vulnerable a shopkeeper is to people coming in the shop, looking all around and leaving without saying anything. And I can't remember why I wrote it. It was just for fun. And somebody said, I want the rest. And I said, So as I thought about it, I realized I never had a book. I'm not sure I would have read it. I never had a book called Shopkeeping.
Yeah.
No one ever said, I should read that book about shopkeeping. My father was a brilliant shopkeeper, a clothier, brilliant. Once he knew your size, he knew your size until he knew your size when you changed. He knew your size. But he was a different kind of shopkeeper, and his shopkeeping, the clothing business, was of no lure to me. In fact, I couldn't imagine why I would be able to imagine what people should buy for clothing. I hadn't the slightest instinct for it. I can talk to you from here to Missoula about the books you should read, or tell you the books that would help your project, but I didn't have anything to do with clothing. But he taught me some things about shopkeeping. He taught me that you must be careful to keep busy, for example. And he put up, it was not a place I wanted. I didn't want to be in a shop. So I wrote this little piece about how when people come to the shop and you say hello, and I said, in shops all over the world, there's a long tradition to say hello. And each country has different subtleties to it. The French have a brilliant subtlety to it in which they clip it. And if you don't show any human response to it, they make a mark next to your appearance and later charge you for it, not financially, but in terms of their attention. They're very good at it. The Italians are really quite wonderful. They say hello, and they in a way that they seem to be able to do without wearing themselves out. But your job is to be able to do this all day. Somehow they're able to do that and to say, thank you for coming, goodbye. Not easy to do. Now, in this country, there is not a great and vast tradition for going shopping. And now that you have online shopping, now you really have a frail tradition, because they don't have to be something. They can just order it and return it. And, I've had 2 or 3 people who have worked in the shop who've then been hired away. My staff always gets hired away. They're on perfect display. They're quite remarkable people, and they're here. And 6 or 7 or 8 times, a customer who of some means will say, "That's who I need. They were so helpful. I need one of those," and they'll bring them back to their organization to.
You gotta have them wear a not for sale sign.
Yeah, they're just and they'll the best was where they came. I'm going astray, but it's a storytelling night anyway. Where the customer said, "So can I ask you a personal question?" And my person who was working here said, "No." And they said, "Well, I just meant, I wanted to ask how much you were paid, but I understand that's personal and that there's no reason for you to tell me. But I will pay you 3 times as much if you'll come, because I love how wonderful you are." And they were wonderful, are wonderful. And so they came to me and they said, this is, but it's 3 times as much. It would be a great help. We have a little one. It would be a great help. And I said, I understand completely. I said, if I was young, I'd go with you, if they would still take me. I said, I understand completely. 3 times as much. I only asked, did you tell them what you did make, or did you inflate it a little? because it was going to be 3 times as much. And, my staff person said, no, I told them what I did make. And I said, that's why they're hiring you. Because you're just as honest as the day is long. You're great. I said, they should hire you. You're great. You didn't make one change. You didn't add $1 to your hourly rate for your triple what you're paid. Anyway, that's what I was writing about, was saying hello to customers. And someone said, a shop in Whidbey Island, where I live, said, no one ever talked about that. I was so pleased to know the fragility of people then leaving after they've come through your shop with all their stuff and not saying thank you or goodbye. Seems the silliest thing. And it is the silliest thing, except I always flinch with an even sillier thing. And so that was the point of the story. And they said that they always flinch because it's not that the shop is your home. It's your shop. And it's not that it's your shop. It's that it's public in a particular sense of being a shop. It doesn't get funds from the government. It doesn't have a school loan that is covering its if it gets a small business administration loan, it has to pay it back, or the same cruel people in the world come to get their money. It runs through a bank. It's public. A shop is the most interesting version of public because it's meant to represent the city. It's meant to represent the graciousness of humans, the intelligence of what it offers, the intelligence of what it shows, the intelligence of how it shows. It has all these crazy tasks, really. And remarkably, of course, your customers, especially the customers that come to count on your shop or trust your shop or this or that, they count on it being correct. They mean that. So when people come and don't say a thing, which is fine. I don't ask people to talk. That's not, people are shy. Yeah. But mutter a thank you. And anyway, that's what prompted me to start to say, well, when I write about shopkeeping,